Here's one thing that I don't think very many people will tell you before you start your YouTube channel, and it's an important way not to waste money. The fastest way to waste money in all of this process isn't to buy the wrong thing. It's actually feeling like you had to buy anything at all before you even kind of have an idea what you're doing. I know that because there's a certain list of things that people seem to assume that you have to have when you start a YouTube channel. And that's probably a professional type of camera and a lighting setup, one of those big boom mics you see coming across, and even expensive editing software. But I'm living proof that you really don't need any of that, because I've had this channel for coming up about 2 years now of posting regularly, and I don't have any of those things. Now look, I know my audience is generally over the age of 40 and 50, and I know we like to be prepared, and I know we like to have done our homework, but I do want to just save you from spending a whole lot of money you don't have to spend, and perhaps just giving yourselves reasons to keep putting off the channel because you think you have to get these things. All right, let's get into it. So number one on the list is a dedicated camera that you think, oh man, obviously I need one of them if I'm going to start on YouTube. If you're thinking about a channel, this might be one of the first things that you think you have to research and shop for, because isn't it obvious? And then you find out that a camera doesn't come alone. It comes with different lenses, it comes with different memory cards and memory card readers, and then you have to figure out how to do all the settings of everything, and oh my gosh, it just becomes this huge hassle. Then you find yourself spending a whole lot of time watching tutorials about how to learn all these things, and then it's kind of like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. We can avoid all of that. Your smartphone, even if it's maybe 4 or 5 years old at this point, is almost certainly a good enough quality camera for you to be able to start and succeed on YouTube. Every video that I've put on my channel thus far has been made with my iPhone. And there are two really big reasons why I think this is the obvious choice to go with, especially as a beginner. Number one, it's always with you. So if you get an idea, or if you're in a place that you want to record something, you have your camera right there. And number two, going along with what we just said, you don't have to learn all the stuff as to how to figure out how to use it. Chances are you have the skills now to be able to turn on, hit record, and make it work. I'm continuing with my phone until I get to a valid reason to think this doesn't really support what I'm doing anymore. And I don't foresee me getting there anytime soon, honestly. Now, here's my one hint I'll give you if you're using an iPhone specifically, and I believe it has to be something that's later than an iPhone 14. You see, when you open up video and start recording, if you slide one more over, you'll see the cinematic mode. That's what I use to just slightly blur my background a little bit. It seems like it gives it a little bit more of a classy feel, and it is no harder to do. Just slide that slider one thing over. Hey, can I ask you just to take 1 second to subscribe, like this video, even hype it if you want. It's no cost to you, but it's a huge help to me. Thanks. All right, number two on the list is a lighting setup. And before you consider anything about figuring out, should I buy one of those big lights that people seem to use? Have you tried sitting in front of a window to make your video? Natural light is really about the best kind of light you can have. Now, I understand that timing is everything with that, but when I'm recording this video, I'm not even at home. So I found a quiet place to be able to record. I found a window with decent light coming in, and I'm just doing what I gotta do. At home, I have in my home office, I have a window that I regularly sit in front of, and every video that I've made thus far has been made sitting in front of a window with natural light, and I haven't had to buy anything. If you haven't figured out quite all the ins and outs of that, try different times a day. Try moving your chair a little bit to get different angles. If you wear glasses like me, always try to sit that the window is a bit of an angle rather than straight on. And never sit with the window behind you unless you want to look like you're part of the witness protection program. Now, I will add a caveat here. At home, I'm finding it difficult for me to work it out with a schedule that I can record at a time when the light is optimum. I'm either sort of glowing in the dark or it gets too dark and I've sort of missed my window of opportunity. So I am setting up a spot in my basement to be able to have some lights there so I can record at whatever time frame I need to. But as I said, I've been at this for about 2 years now. I've learned some ins and outs. I would have never considered doing that in the beginning because right now I have to figure out how to make it all work. So when you get to the point where you think that's my best answer, well then try it. But in the meantime, find a window, find that natural light, and make it happen because it's about the best light that you can use. Number 3, audio and whether you need a microphone or not. Now, this is the place that I will say that a small investment is necessary. And here's why. If you are watching a video and it's dark, or maybe the camera's a little shaky, or just something isn't real pleasant with how you're watching it, you are willing to keep going and give that video a chance much more than you would if the audio was really soft or garbly or there was a bunch of noise in the background. Audio really turns people on or off from a video much more than what the image does. So I will say that as you're starting out, I would recommend getting a little small clip-on microphone. Mine is by the brand Hollyland. I've had mine long enough that I don't think they make this particular model anymore, but I did put a link in the description if you want to see one that's pretty close to it. The last time I checked, it was like less than 60 bucks, and it's a solid investment for something that just plugs right into your phone, and then the transmitter sort of captures from the microphone, and you get good audio quality without any hassle. Next on our list is a teleprompter. And believe me, I understand the appeal that that holds to somebody, especially if they're just starting out with a channel. If the idea of just kind of sitting in front of a camera and talking naturally seems like a really foreign aspect to you and you're like, oh, I just really need something to go by, a teleprompter seems like the best idea. Let me just encourage you to try one thing though first. Here's how I record. I will think through what I want to cover in the video. If it's something that I feel pretty comfortable talking about, I'll probably just write out some bullet points, and I have them hung on the little tripod right underneath my camera, so I look at them every now and again just to remember where I want to go next. If it's something a little bit more complicated, then I'll take the time and I'll just type it out. Then that really helps me to think through what I want to go through, and it helps me to get it in my head a little bit more. Then once I have it all typed out, I'll make some bullet points from that, and if there's points that I know are going to be a little harder for me to figure out what I want to say, I'll have that text available to be able to look at. But I record in little short segments, then I edit them together. I would never, in any sort of situation, I think, be able to just sit down and just rattle off everything that I want to say and have it be valuable and cohesive and make sense if I felt like I had to sit down and do a whole 15-minute long video doing that. That helps me to be able to talk naturally. It helps me to be able to remember what I want to say and have it make sort of sense in how I'm doing it, and not depend on a teleprompter, which I think can be very tempting to just put in front of you, and then you're just kind of doing this as you're not being very natural in what you're sharing on camera. So if you feel like a teleprompter is something you want to go for, I just want to encourage you to maybe try that out first and see how it goes for you. And then if it's like, oh, definitely not, and you need a teleprompter, well then try it, but really put in some time practicing so you don't have that robot back and forth typewriter effect as you're reading, because it really does kind of come across a little bit more obvious on video than what you might think. Now, here's another thing I've noticed. Once people maybe go through this whole long list of equipment that they feel like they need, then they want some direction. Or maybe if you're just starting and you're taking what I think is maybe the smart, more frugal approach and just using what you have, you still want a little direction. There are a million how to do YouTube courses out there. But honestly, I think they can end up being more confusing and a whole lot more expensive than what you need. I tend to think that just a little help will help you to get you going. And that's exactly why I put together my YouTube 101 course. It's really just an introduction as to how to get started on YouTube if you're a beginner, and it's especially geared for the over 50 crowd. I put it together to be a plain language walkthrough as to what you do first, how you get your channel set up, and the ideas of what you can do to get yourself in a good mode moving forward. I have a link to it down in the description if you happen to be watching on a TV. The QR code will also take you there too to take a look. I kept it inexpensive for this very reason, but I really think it could be helpful. So editing software is number 5 on the list. And that can end up being one of the most confusing aspects of everything with a YouTube channel, especially if you feel like you need an expensive, complicated software. To this day, I edit every video on my phone. I use the CapCut app. I do have a video here that is a little bit of an introductory tutorial as to how to do it. And I will say there's about 1,000 different options on CapCut that you can choose to use, and I maybe use 10 of them. Because of what I've learned over my time editing, I have upgraded to the Pro plan. I think it's like maybe $19 or $20 a month, but especially as a beginner, you can make out completely fine with the free plan too. A complicated editing program, I think, just adds a whole lot of that, oh, let me figure out all of this stuff before I even get started. And then when you get in the mountain of everything that comes with them, some of these really complicated programs, you're like, absolutely no way can I do this. Keep it simple, keep it uncomplicated, and keep it relatively inexpensive. I think that's absolutely the best way to start if you want to do some editing on your videos. All right, next on the list is something where we kind of move into something a little bit different, but I just want to put it out there because it always seems to be this magnet of attraction for beginners. And that's the potential of paying for promotion for your videos. I know it seems appealing because it can help you to get your numbers up. It can help you to get your video out in front of more people. But it also very likely will put your video out in front of the wrong people. It will set it up so that your video is clicked by those wrong people, and then they click off pretty quickly, and then YouTube starts to not have real affectionate feelings towards your channel when you're consistently having videos up that people aren't watching more than like the first 5 or 10 seconds of. And I really think that once you pay for one promotion, YouTube kind of will keep things a little bit stagnant until it feels like you're going to pay for the next promotion. I can't prove that, but I've talked to enough people that it really does seem like that's part of the play here. I want to encourage you just to go through the normal process of learning what it is to feel comfortable in front of a camera, of learning what it takes to come up with a title and a thumbnail that is appealing to people that they want to click on. I want to encourage you to go through the process of learning who your perfect audience is so you can create content that they want to watch. All those things moved together is what helps the YouTube algorithm to figure out who you are, who you talk to, what you offer, and who they should be showing the videos to. That's the process that keeps you building and growing much more than feeling like, oh, if I throw a few dollars at that, I'll grow more quickly. I really don't think that's true. And finally, the big temptation, I think, is to feel like you have to have a perfect backdrop to be able to make your videos. I have a vent behind me. I'm not in my normal setup at all, but I found a window, I found some light, and I just found something that I thought, well, that's not a distracting background. The same kind of thing can happen in your home setup. You can, as long as you don't have 59,000 things behind you that it ends up being a distracting setup. It does not have to be a work of art by any stretch. My typical home setup, I've just got my desk with my home office. I have some books in the background, and then of course my Wonder Woman poster, who a lot of people comment on, and I like that. And then whatever sort of just is an easy place for you to talk. It might be more important that you find a place that doesn't have a lot of distractions for you, doesn't have a whole lot of extraneous noise going on in the background. There are plenty of people on YouTube who do really well making videos sitting in their car. They've got great light coming in from the windows. It's quiet. It's not distracting for them. So keep that in mind, that as you need to choose a place to make your videos, you don't have to worry about paying for things in the background and all the special lighting and anything that would come from that. As long as you can find a place that's quiet, has decent light, and isn't like a total junkyard in the background, I think you're going to be fine. Now, none of these on this list are bad or improper purchases forever. As you learn and grow and figure things out, there might be things that you want to add to your YouTube repertoire. There might be things that you want to learn and feel like they can improve what you're doing, but none of these things are anything you need to worry about, especially at the beginning stages. And especially for my over 50 friends who are starting later in life, no one is watching you because you have perfect lighting or you have an amazing background. They're watching you because of what you're sharing, of the value that you're bringing, of your ability to connect with the person who's watching you. I make these videos with a clip-on mic and a window and my iPhone, And I do have a couple little tripods, but I started out just stacking my phone against some books, so it was at a right angle for what I needed. Keeping it simple means that you actually get started. Feeling like you have to add all these things in the beginning can just turn into a reason to put it off. I'd love if you tell me in the comments some of the questions you have about your YouTube setup, and I'll see what I can do to try and answer them. And just tell me where you are in your YouTube journey. I really love to hear and see what my audience is doing, so I can cheer you on. If you're in the beginning stages of this YouTube journey, I have a video here that talks about what you can expect in your first year on YouTube. Hopefully it can answer some more questions for you and help you figure some more things out. I'd love for you to take a look at that one next. See you in the next one.